Chapter 15. The Dolls. A flash of reddish light illuminated the bayou, driving the gators back into the water. They snapped at the air, angry to be denied their prey. Jamal's eyes fell on the source of the light. On the edge of the swamp stood an old woman, clutching a staff hewn from gnawed, twisted cypress wood. A crystal adorned the top of it and glowed red in the darkness. The old woman threw back the hood of her cloak, revealing hair and eyes that were bright blue. "Grandma!" Riley called when her eyes fell on the old woman. "Hold tight, child," her grandmother called in her resounding voice. She turned her attention back to the gators, who had regrouped and circled around the cypress tree. Her grandmother reached into her cloak and pulled out a handful of glittering silver dust. Jamal flinched back when he saw it, recognizing it as similar to the magic the Shadow Man used. The old woman blew it at the gators. "Release these foul creatures from your dark magic," she boomed now, blowing the dust at them, "and return to the shadows where you belong." The silver dust clouded the air, swirling around the gators. They slowly stopped circling the tree. Their eyes blinked out one by one. The reddish light extinguished. She had broken the spell. Released from the dark magic, the gators quickly retreated into the bayou, consumed by the murky depths. Riley and Jamal waited until they were sure they were gone, then clambered down the tree and swam to the banks of the swamp. "Oh, my child, are you hurt?" Grandma Desarouge said, stooping down to pull Riley into a hug. The crystal on top of her staff glowed. She checked her granddaughter over for injuries. "Grandma, we're fine," Riley said, "but we wouldn't have been for much longer if you hadn't found us." "The Shadow Man," Grandma Desarouge said in a sharp voice, her eyes narrowing when they fell on Jamal. "This is his dark magic. I'd sense it anywhere. I tracked it out here and found you." "Yep, that's what we thought too," Riley said with a nod. "But he rarely ventures into my bayou," Grandma Desarouge said with a deep frown that made her look even older. "He knows better than that. What's drawn him out here?" "Well, that's why we're here," Riley said. "This is my friend Jamal. Dr. Facilier cursed his brother and turned him into a shadow." "A shadow curse?" Grandma Desarouge said, raising her eyebrows. "But that's ancient magic. And it's dark." She raised her staff, casting a halo of reddish light that fell over Malik, making his shadow form stand out. Her eyes widened in fear when she saw him. Then she shifted to Jamal. "Oh no, my child," she said. "I fear that your brother is already fading. We don't have that much time. Quickly, follow me." "Children, hurry," Grandma Desarouge said in an urgent tone. "This way." Riley's grandmother led them through the bayou, using the light from her staff to guide the way. Despite the thick underbrush, roots that threatened to trip them with each step, and marshy earth, she was sure-footed and moved quickly. Jamal was the one who struggled to keep pace with the old woman. He slipped, then righted himself at the last minute. Mud sloshed up his legs. He followed right behind Riley and her grandmother, while Malik stuck to him like a second shadow. "Somehow the swamp feels less scary with her leading the way," he thought. She glanced from Riley to her grandmother, taking in their appearances. In spite of their age difference and their haircuts and clothes, he could see the family resemblance. It had something to do with their eyes, a sharp glint. It was as if they could both really see things. Suddenly, he heard something rustling in the trees behind them. The skull necklace exploded to light with reddish light, glowing underneath his shirt. His heart thudded faster. "The dolls!" he said, glancing back into the thick darkness of the bayou. Riley gasped. "Oh no, they must be following us." She reached back and grasped his hand. Her palms were slick with sweat. He felt a jolt with their hands met. But this time it wasn't fear. It was something else altogether. It felt powerful and deep, like something almost magical. But what does it mean, he wondered. Stubborn little devils, Grandma de Chevreuse muttered, turning around and wielding her staff. They're not easily deterred, not once they've set their sights on what they most desire. Most desire? Jamal repeated, swallowing hard against his fear. My child, you must have something the Shadow Man greatly desires, she said, leading them deeper into the bayou, or he wouldn't chase us this far. He knows this is my territory. I fear he must be growing stronger. Usually the protection would keep him away. The rustling drew closer, then the dolls burst through the trees. Their faces looked horrific, lopsided, with button eyes, stitched mouths, and slits for noses. Their eyes locked on to Jamal. Moving with incredible speed, they scrambled from the underbrush toward him. Some scaled the trees, rustling through the branches overhead. Soon they'd spring on him. He shut his eyes, bracing for the attack, when he heard Grandma Descharroux's voice. Foul creatures, be gone! Grandma Descharroux boomed out, producing more silver dust. She blew it at the dolls. The dust clouded the air, obscuring the dolls from their view. Children, come fast, Grandma Descharroux hissed. That'll throw them off, but not for long. Then she grabbed Riley's hand, pulling them forward, and extinguished the light from her staff. Darkness enveloped them, thick darkness, pure darkness. Jamal felt himself choking on it. He couldn't see anything, but he held fast to Riley's hand like his life depended on it. Because in a way, it did. Malik, are you with me? Jamal whispered to the darkness, to the shadows. Silence. Had he lost his brother forever? But then, don't worry, I'm here, little Jay, rasped Malik, right behind you. Was it Jamal's imagination, or did his voice sound weaker? He remembered Grandma Descharroux's words. I fear that your brother is already fading. He just hoped she could help them. A few minutes later, Grandma Descharroux lit up her staff again. The reddish light fell over a rustic hut, surrounded by a trickling stream. It looked simple, yet idyllic, but more important, like a safe place. One word rushed through Jamal's head. Home. It looked like home. You'll be safe here, Grandma Descharroux said, throwing open the front door and ushering them inside. There are ancient protections. Her hut was more spacious than it appeared from the outside, like an optical illusion. How is this possible? Jamal wondered. Inside, a fire flickered, casting warm light over the comfy interior. Masks of all shapes and sizes adorned the walls, while patterned fabrics covered the furniture and brightened the decor. There was a simple single bed, a lumpy old sofa, and a knobby rocking chair carved from cypress wood. Jamal glanced at the stained glass windows, wondering if the dolls were lurking outside, waiting for them to emerge from the hut. He just hoped her ancient protections would be enough to keep them away. Grandma Descharroux cast off her cloak, hung it on a peg, then settled into the rocking chair with a sigh. She still clutched her staff. Jamal got the feeling that she never set it aside, her sharp eyes fixed on them. Have a seat, my children, she said in her clear voice. Make yourselves at home. My house is your house. Riley led Jamal to the sofa, where they settled in. He glanced down, realizing how filthy he was from their trek through the bayou, and immediately felt bad for tarnishing her clean hut. Malik flowed over the floor and took his place by Jamal. Oh my, your poor brother, Grandma Descharroux said, her eyes following Malik as his dark form moved across the floorboards. Tell me everything, my child. Leave nothing out. Jamal swallowed hard to still his nerves, then explained everything that had transpired. His grandmother's leaving him her skull necklace when she passed away, Dr. Facilier's coming after him and promising him the future he most desired, Jamal's trading his brother's trumpet so him to him instead of the necklace, then waking up to a world where he had replaced his brother altogether. And then I discovered that my brother had become a walking, talking shadow, Jamal finished, casting his eyes down to the creaky old floorboards. And it's all my fault. I never should have trusted the Shadow Man. Grandma Descheroux shook her head. She rose from her rocking chair and poured them mugs of steaming herbal tea from the pot simmering gently over the fire. My child, that's what he does, she said, handing Jamal a mug. The mug was warm, and it did make him feel better. He preys on folks' deepest, darkest fears, then makes them an offer they can't refuse. He promises them what they most desire, but it's always a trick to get what he really wants. He's fooled more poor souls than I can count. But can you help me? Rasped Malik, his voice fading in and out. Jamal realized that it wasn't his imagination. His brother was growing weaker. Grandma Descheroux noticed it too. She looked worried. I fear he is beginning to fade from this world. I've seen this sort of dark magic before. Soon your brother will cease to exist altogether. You don't have much time to reverse the curse. Grandma, you have to help him, Riley said. You're our only hope. Please, how do we fix it? Jamal added. There must be a way to help. I'll do anything. Child, I wish it were that easy, Grandma Descheroux said, lowering her head. It was as if a shadow crossed her face, aging her. This sort of ancient black magic isn't easily undone. It is nearly unbreakable. Jamal felt a jolt of fear. What do you mean? It can't be reversed? Grandma Descheroux sipped her tea. Once payment is rendered, and the friends have sent their minions from the other side, she said in a soft voice, only Dr. Facilier can reverse the curse. You were right, Jamal said, pulling out the skull necklace. I have something that Dr. Facilier greatly desired. I think he cursed my brother to trick me into giving him this. Grandma Descheroux' eyes fixed on the necklace and widened. Oh, yes, he very much wants that necklace. Your grandmother left it to you? Yes, she did, Jamal said, along with a note. Beware of the shadows. Only I didn't understand what it meant. But maybe if I give it to him, then he'll save my brother. Grandma, Riley said, studying her grandmother's visage, you recognize that necklace, don't you? Oh, yes, I do, she replied. And then she reached into her dress and pulled out a skull necklace that was identical to the one around Jamal's neck.